Hey guys, it's Steph. Today I'm going to be doing a February TBR for you. There's 6 books on my TBR for the month of February. That's 3 more than last month. Last month I read 7 books instead of the 3 that I discussed in my video. And that's just because a lot of people recommended some books to me and I had a lot of free time, I guess. I don't know, I was sick and it happens. So the first book that I want to talk about is one that I don't know why I've never read it before, and I think it's just because maybe I was living underneath a rock. I'm not sure. And I'm having some reservations about it. I haven't started it yet, but I'm having a little bit of reservations, and I'll go into why. But the book is Illuminae by Kaufman and Christoph. Basically, this book, first of all, I'm really glad that I bought the physical copy instead of the e-reader version, and that's because the book itself is its own character. I mean, look at the jacket. It covers an actual, it looks like it's a printed, redacted military report or something, right? And then all of the pages inside have been formatted in the same way. So there's like instant messages, there's emails, there's memos, there's maps, there's all sorts of business in here. And I feel like they did a really good job of making the book another character in the book, so you actually feel like you're reading something you're not supposed to be reading. Now, the novel takes place in way in the future, like 2545 or something, 2575, something way out there. And basically it follows these 2 teenagers who were living on this colony where they were mining for some kind of precious natural resource. And a war breaks out between these 2 competing corporations. And the corporations end up blowing up the colony. These 2 teenagers are separated. One's on one spaceship, one's on another spaceship. And basically they end up having to come together, and it sounds like they're going to save the universe. So this is the story of how that happens based on like all the files, all the emails and stuff that are sent back and forth. My 2 hesitations with the story are, one, and this is just me, I don't like to read a lot of space literature. I don't know if it's because I have a really terrible imagination or if it's because I just have a hard time understanding and like conceiving of the vastness of outer space. I'm not really sure, but I do have a hard time with that. I usually read fantasy over science fiction. So we're gonna see how I feel about that. The second part that makes me a little bit nervous about this is when I was flipping through the book, I did notice that there's a lot of what looks like instant messages that are sent, that have been printed in the book, and there's a lot of chat speak, and I freaking hate that stuff. Just say a real word. Like, I'm the kind of person, even when I send you a text message, it has the full word. I don't really abbreviate anything, and I use punctuation. But this has a lot of chat speak, and there is, I mean, they even use the old emojis, like the semicolon parentheses emojis for smiley faces and whatnot. So I'm a little bit hesitant about that, but I'm hoping that the book's actually a really good read and is a good story. Now, I mean, a whole bunch of people liked it, so it's gotta be good. The next book that I'm pretty excited about is, I think it's really relevant to today's society and what we're experiencing, and that is The Sellout, which is by Paul Beatty. This book won the Man Booker Prize Award in 2016, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. Basically, it's a satirical look at racism in America. It follows the story of a young black man who grew up in a ghetto in California, and basically his ghetto has become such an embarrassment and is so bad and so poor that they wipe it off the map. I don't mean they blow it up, they just like literally erase it from the map. So in order to get the attention that he feels like his community deserves, he goes to an extreme social experiment, and that is reinstating slavery and reinstating segregation. Obviously, these are 2 things that nobody wants back, and so it goes all the way up through the Supreme Court. So it's supposed to be really funny and really outlandish and really outrageous, and I'm excited to read it because I feel like it's just really important for where we are right now, and it's important to know where we were so that we don't repeat it again. Whew, I got really serious for a second. The next one is kind of also serious, I guess. And this is also a something different for me, and that is because it's a biography, and that is Wishful Drinking by Carrie Fisher. I guess it's more of a memoir, not a biography, because this basically focuses on her time when she was struggling with alcohol and addiction, and then her recovery. So first of all, Carrie Fisher, freaking hilarious. Secondly, she's an icon, she's Princess Leia. And third, I think it's amazing that somebody is able to write a book with humor that that deals with something that's so important and so sad and so gut-wrenching as addiction and alcoholism. I personally don't drink, so this book is really important to me, and I think that it really covers a really important topic in a good way that's going to make it more accessible to other people who might be struggling. So I'm really excited about this one. The next one I am really looking forward to reading, and it would have been the first book that I read for the month of February, except I just finished book 1 in this series, and if I read more than like 1 or 2 books in a series back to back, I start to get really fidgety, and then I start to watch Netflix instead of read books. So that is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I'm super amped about this. I really, really loved A Court of Thorn and Roses. It was not on my January TBR last month, and somebody recommended it, so I read it at the end of the month, and I just absolutely loved it. I could not put it down. The last 25% of the book, I was just like turning pages left and right, and I ignored everybody and everything in my house. So I'm really excited to see what happens with Tamlin and what happens with Farah and how their story continues to unfold. So Sarah J. Maas, good work. The next book is, maybe I'll read it around Valentine's Day. I don't know, because it might be a little bit of a romance. And that's Every Day by David Levithan. Somebody told me to read this a couple of days ago, and I'm going to take their advice. And so thanks, Emily. And basically this story follows a young man who wakes up every day in somebody else's life, and he spends 24 hours there. Well, of course, one day he wakes up and he falls in love with a girl, and he spends the subsequent 24 hours trying to get back to her. So it's kind of romance, kind of fantasy-esque. I don't know, there's time travel and like hopping and stuff, and that's kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to that. The final book I don't have a physical copy of, and that's because it hasn't officially been released yet, and that is King's Cage. It's the last book, or I think the 3rd book anyway, in the Red Queen series, and I'm pretty excited to read that because I want to see how Mare and Cal and Maven's story wraps up. I was not a big fan of Glass Sword. You can read my review on Goodreads about that, but I thought Red Queen was good. It was entertaining. It was kind of like a fun little book, you know. It does have a lot of similarities to the Hunger Games, but not as good. I know, I feel like it's blasphemous. Everybody loves this book. But I am excited to get King's Cage in the mail, and I'm hoping, you know, that it ties up in a nice pretty bow the way that I feel like all these romantic YA tropey novels do. So, gosh, somebody's going to send me a really nasty email. So anyway, those are my picks for the month of February. You can, as always, follow me on Instagram at BiblioBlurbs, on Twitter at BiblioBlurbsFL, read my reviews on Goodreads, and of course here on my channel. Thank you guys so much, and happy reading. Bye-bye.